As someone that grew their channel primarily playing Escape from Tarkov, making guides and covering every aspect of that game for the past 6 years, I made a big leap of faith jumping to games that personally you guys don't watch, and I play them just because I enjoy playing them. And the jump has not only made it better for my mental health, but also made YouTube feel like a hobby again, like it was always meant to. In this video, I'm going to be answering a question that I've been getting a hell of a lot, and that is, why have you stopped playing Tarkov? The answer, although may seem clear, has a few twists and turns along the way, so this video is going to be a little bit of a ranty one, but at the same time, I hope you can understand my point of view from it. And if you're one of those people that still watch the channel even after my jump away from Tarkov, and you've been putting up with the random games that I've been playing because I've been enjoying them, thank you, because it means the absolute world. So to give you some background, I've been playing Tarkov since 0.1, since the first ever closed alpha, and I've been making Tarkov videos on a YouTube channel I created specifically to help people where they needed it on Tarkov shortly after that. When I started playing, there were no guides, there was no EFT wiki, there was nothing like that, and it was really hard to find that learning curve and pick up the pace. So making guides was something that I wanted to do because there was not that for me when I started playing, so I thought it could help people when they started. And it clearly worked because my channel at the very beginning went from making nothing to up to 100 subscribers per day on the channel when people started getting their hands on the game themselves. And it was great. I loved it, I enjoyed making the content, and I enjoyed making the content for quite some time afterwards. So why have I stopped playing Tarkov all of a sudden after all this time? Why didn't I just carry on, continue growing quite rapidly, and continue just playing the game that I grew the channel on? Well, it originally started in mid-2020 really, and a lot of things happened in 2020. 12.6, 12.9, those patches were released, but also the first ever Twitch Rivals event. Now, whilst Twitch Rivals was amazing for everyone involved, everyone got a nice bit of growth, and the game got a huge boost in player numbers, it just wasn't ready. It was not ready for that, and it was obvious. Servers were on fire for weeks, all the influx of players, there was massively long waiting times, there was desync, more than there is anyway, and it just wasn't ready. Sure, you can't predict a massive influx of players like that to the T, but they should have predicted something. They knew a lot of the big players that play Tarkov and a lot of the big streamers on Twitch were invited to this thing, meaning that there was going to be a lot of people watching anyway, and for people that didn't know what Tarkov was all about, seeing that their favourite streamer was playing it and enjoying it was going to get them intrigued. And not to mention, this was hosted on the main page of Twitch. Tons of people would have seen it that wouldn't know anything about it anyway, and it brought a ton of new players. Sure, they shouldn't have expected the massive influx that they got, but they should have expected something or have some backup in place for if this did happen. And they didn't, but that wasn't even my problem. The problem was they didn't show any urgency to the community that they were working on things to fix it. On top of that, you had Twitch drops and all that sort of stuff coming through the pipeline, and that brought people even more towards Tarkov, getting free in-game items, making the servers overloaded, and there was no integrity plan or anything like that to make sure that the servers weren't interrupted during a higher influx of players. You know the saying, fool me once, fool me twice, all that shit? Well, they should have learned from their mistake the first time, but it seems to happen a lot of the time. An influx of players come in and the servers get worse, and there is just no backup plan. Sure, that made me annoyed at the game, that made me disappointed and stuff like that, but it didn't make me hate the game. And believe me, there were points in my Tarkov career where I really, really hated the game, and I was still playing it because of the content. And there were points where I was really, really angry with the developers for the lack of communication and the things that they were letting slip through the net year after year, and that is what we're going to talk about now. The reason I really got angry at the development team. A big one is obviously the cheating pandemic that has happened in this game for the longest period of time. Tarkov is a hardcore shooter, so when you die, you lose things, and that makes cheaters have all the more enjoyment for taking you out really, really easily. And pairing that with looting and finding extremely rare items that sell for a hell of a lot of in-game money that people can then sell on eBay or something like that for real-world money makes cheating even more viable for this game, for them to even make a profit. Now, sure, there has been things put in place to stop real money transfer, but it's been happening for the longest time, and it still happens. And the more people get frustrated with the game, the more they decide to go, do you know what? F it, I'm gonna go and cheat now. And the cheaters seem to be getting worse as time goes on, not better. Now sure, they share an empty, factless stat of, we banned 5,000 cheaters since this amount of time, but the fact is you let 5,000 people cheat in the first place. There are cheating websites and cheating discords and all these sorts of things that have been up for years. And I have seen them because I've been a part of the community for years. They are run by the same people. They are super easy to make if you wanted to make a private one. And it's because of the game engine that it's running on and the security processes put in place to actually access the game. BattlEye's anti-cheat system that has been in Tarkov for years is crap. There are so many better options out there, but they refuse to go to it because BattlEye is a very cheap system and they've signed a long lease contract for the cheat engine. But why should that matter when your community and your customers are being hindered because of the cheats in the game? Now sure, BSG didn't make the cheats, and cheats are always out there for every single game no matter what cheat engine. But it is very common knowledge that BattlEye is a cheap and cheerful solution, and is a software that is very easy to bypass. If they were to purchase a more premium solution, then there's no doubt in my mind that cheating would reduce, and you wouldn't see a cheater in your game blatantly obvious every other raid. I touched on server stability and all that when I was talking about an influx in players, but still desync and hit registration has been terrible for years, and it hasn't seemed to improve at all. They put in these patches, quotes, unquotes, air quotes, and all that shit, to say that they've improved hit registration and improved latency and improved desync, but it doesn't seem to go anywhere. It still seems to have the same old issues that has been plaguing the game and hurting the game's lifespan for years. It doesn't seem to go anywhere. And that's the same with the audio system. They implemented Steam Audio, then they took it away, then they added something else, and they've took that away. And now they're like, should you use binaural audio? Shouldn't you use binaural audio? I still get asked that to this day, and Tarkov isn't even installed on my PC anymore for me to actually check it out. It's still a thing that people are umming and ahhing about. Why should this be a thing so many years down the line? There should be an audio system that works. I played 6 Days in Fallujah. Sure, that's not a multiplayer PvP game, but it is a multiplayer game, and their sound system is incredible. It's absolutely impeccable. DMZ, a very similar game to Tarkov, has quite good audio, much better than Tarkov does. And sure, they may have a bigger budget, but come on now, it's 2023. Audio shouldn't be so bad that you can't hear someone from the floor above you, or can't hear someone walking up your ass if they're not full sprinting or crunching on broken glass. That shouldn't be a thing. The audio system should be stabilized and should be improved. My main problem though, and I've sort of mentioned this, is PR. The whole community management side of Tarkov and BSG, it's just terrible. There is no communication, and sure, no matter what you guys will say, like, they put out these updates more than most developers, sure, they may put out things, but do they implement and action things properly? They put out a whole roadmap which people were asking for ages, months ago, and that roadmap said that Unity 2021 would be before patch 13.1, and that got missed. There was no communication on why it got missed, it just got missed. And the things that they were saying would be implemented in 13.1 weren't there. Where is the increase of players and bots on a map to 60? That hasn't been implemented. Sure, there's slight increases of players on some of the maps, but there is not an increase like was shown off on a recent Tarkov TV podcast. That is not a thing. That hasn't happened. Improving hit registration, sure, slightly, but it's not good. It's still quite bad. All of these things that they said would be in the most recent update has either been half-assed or missed completely. I'd like to emphasize that this game is meant to be released fully at the end of this year. First of all, it was meant to be released fully about 3 years ago, because that was the release deadline that the shareholders gave Tarkov originally. But because of recent circumstances, BSG have been able to push that back. But it's still meant to be released this year. Let's just put it this way, once the game is fully released, BSG have no more obligation to push this game any further. I know they say that they're going to be releasing updates and changing this and changing that, and doing all sorts of stuff, but after the game is released fully, they have no obligation to do anything else. Do you think this game is ready for nothing else to happen to it? Because that could happen. I'm not saying it will, I'm saying it could. Do you think the game's ready? Do you think the game should be released for $60 minimum price? And do you think everyone should pay $60 for it in its current state? Sure, I've got like 100 times worth my money out of this game because of the amount of hours that I've put into it, but if I wasn't making content so frequently and pushing through the hard times to create that content, I wouldn't have played it up until now. I would have quit years ago. Circling back around to the whole communication thing, I'd like to also put this out there. You guys may say that there is quite good communication, or this has been communicated well, this hasn't, but how many times have the community asked if this is being fixed or if this is being worked on, and the response is, it's coming soon, or it's being worked on, or yes, or no, or one word very vague answers. We get them all of the time. There is no proof in the pudding. We get told, yeah, it's being worked on, but when? We don't know. Streets of Tarkov was meant to come out in 2018, 2019, but we got that like 4 years later. Sure, it's better to finalize something before releasing it out in the open and it being a buggy mess, but it was released 4 years late and still a buggy mess that couldn't run on hardly anyone's systems, and it took patch after patch to get it even playable. Putting an actual time frame together, and especially at this point in the game's development where it's nearly fully released by a deadline, they need to have a list of this is being worked on, this will be finished by then, hopefully, and then if not, it'll be readdressed soon, and then these are the things that they said they were going to do that they are no longer doing. Because people are still waiting for things that were said that were going to be a thing ages ago, and they've scrapped the idea. For example, the takedowns that you saw in the alpha trailer where you could sneak up behind someone and stab them, that ain't being worked on anymore, by the way. Just thought I'll put that out there. It's not a thing anymore. Some of these things just aren't going to exist or will be released later on in the pipeline and is not a priority. But as I say, what's the obligation for BSG to do anything after the game's fully released? I could go on, but the TLDR of my whole rant is that there is no communication, deadlines are being missed beyond belief, cheaters are a massive issue, and it doesn't seem to be an urgent thing for them to work on, even though there are plenty of options out there for them to invest in, because they clearly have the money to, but it's whether they want to or not. BSG's turnover is massive, but rather investing into new technologies and things and experimenting with different stuff that could make all these things that people have been complaining about for years go away, they would rather invest in Balenciaga clothing and really nice looking Mustangs. But hey ho, it seems to be a bin fire at the moment. But will I be back? That's the question that people keep asking. Will I be back? Yes, I'll play Tarkov again. Sure, I'll play when the new stuff gets there. I will cover the new stuff, and then I'll probably go away again and play things that I enjoy, unless I get hooked again, but I doubt that's going to happen. I've been doing the same quests for 7 years. I've been doing the same stuff for 7 years. I've been playing the same maps with slight variations for years. It's a very stale game for me now. So, I will be back, I will cover the new stuff, but at the moment, I am not happy with how the game is performing, and I'm not happy with the development cycle that is going into it. It could be so much better. And right now, I'm just happy that the friends that I've made playing Tarkov have decided to move over to the same games that I've enjoyed playing too. For example, enjoy watching me and FairTX play Call of Duty DMZ. That'd be fun. Come and watch that. And then when Tarkov gets an update, I'll cover it for a bit. And then I'll go away again. And then I'll cover it for a bit. And then I'll go away again. I just can't for the life of me think of anything worse than pushing myself through years of Tarkov with me not believing in its development anymore. I just don't think that's a good idea for me or for you guys, because it will just be unsincere. But anyway, thank you so much for watching this rant. It's a long one. I do apologize, but I think it's worthwhile saying because I get this comment all the time. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.